All right, so this week's bullish meter, we got some topics from the AMA. We got some topics covering boar hunts. We even got some topics about the Mythic Squads Tournament. So did any of this make me so excited that I gave it a +5? Or did something piss me off and cause me to give it a -5? Well, these are my opinions only. So let's see how I feel about everything in DeFi Kingdoms this week. Let's get into it, and thanks for watching. All right, so today's bullish meter, we are going to cover mostly topics about boar hunts. Wasn't a whole lot of stuff going on in the DeFi Kingdoms universe this week. Nothing at all. Very boring week. So, we're going to cover boar hunts. So, let's start with what we got out of the AMA first. So, let's get with the side notes. So, duels are still on hold. Is what it is. I understand they got to get the contracts made out properly and all that stuff. So then we got the daily quest was one of the questions asked. So on this topic, I kind of don't really want to cover the whole daily quest part. This is more of my mixed feelings on a lot of the questions that come up in the AMA. So a lot of times, and we'll talk from one point of view that I have, and then we'll move to another point of view. So why do we keep asking the devs to create a whole bunch of new stuff when they already have so much they're working on? Do we want them to stop working on the stuff they're working on to start creating this new stuff? No, I don't. So the one side of me says, stop, guys, quit asking about this stuff. But then we got the other side that I like to look at. Maybe I'm a little more in favor of this side of the asking for new stuff to be developed. I don't think these people asking about this stuff is really asking them to stop working on what they're working on just to start working on this new stuff that they're talking about. A lot of it's pretty cool topics. A lot of it's pretty cool stuff that I would really like to see in the future as well. So, you could say, well, we can hold off on asking about that until other stuff comes out. Yeah, but at the same time, if you get that little bit of questions in their ears and they start thinking about it, they can start, if it's something they like, they can start working towards that as in one of their other projects, kind of put it on the to-do list, I guess you could say. So, I'm kind of mixed feelings on either saying shut the up or yeah, that sounds cool, let's get working on that. So we'll leave that one at that. And then we got class releases after the next hunts. So it sounds like they kind of quit working on the new classes that they're going to release until they're done with the next boar hunts, which makes sense. Let's get things out. And then after that gets out, then we can work on some more classes. Then we can work on the next thing to get out. Then we can work on some more classes. It all makes sense to me. So not a whole lot to rate there. And then we got a quick expeditions update. Now, I don't know what's involved in making these expeditions. I have no clue how any of that works. But God, I'm so excited about the expeditions. I kind of, in my mind, I wish they would stop working on everything and put all hands on deck on expeditions. But I understand that that's probably not the best way to go as far as the game as a whole. But it was nice to hear a mention that they're still working on it and they got some stuff coming up. All right, and then they also talked about returning the unused potions within the next boar hunts when we got bring your own potions out. Talked a little bit about the weight and all that stuff. You know, nothing real exciting there. Mostly stuff we either assumed or already knew about. So that's all the side notes. Let's get into one of the topics that they discussed that I feel is worth rating. And that's details to come later, of course. Sponsored hunt rewards. Now, this is a topic I'm really excited about. You know, I've been involved in a lot of other Web3 projects out there. And let's just say that topic number one, the sponsored hunt rewards, I'm extremely bullish on for one reason only. A lot of these other projects, I believe, would have survived if they would have got sponsors to help pay for some of this stuff. And, you know, we'll use, you know, some of these games that I played, the battles, you know, you win so many tokens, you know, we'll kind of, let's just say Axie Infinity. So you go into all these battles and you get so much SLP for every time you win a battle. And you just keep accumulating this SLP for these battle wins. They just turning that faucet on, just cranking out that SLP. Well, that drove the price way down. So let's say they made those battles sponsored. Let's say brand blah, blah, blah come in and said, hey, put a little banner up in the corner and we'll buy enough Viz and we'll pay for these battles. So at that point, they're no longer cranking that faucet on, just dumping all that Viz into the economy. That Viz is actually coming from existing, or not Viz, SLP is coming from existing pools of Viz or Viz. Boy, Peg actually's got me really pissed off right now, so I keep going back to that. So, you know, if they would have used sponsored to pay for these rewards, it would have overall helped their economy versus just printing and printing more SLP. So now with that said, the way the rewards and all that inside DeFi Kingdoms, they're not just turning on the faucet, dumping these rewards out. But at the same time, if someone wants to sponsor it, they're going to have to purchase all that. I'm assuming it's going to be in crystal, but you know, they're going to have to purchase all that crystal to give out for rewards. Well, what's that going to do for the value of crystal? That's going to really increase it. What's that going to do for players wanting to play the game more? More rewards. I believe we're going to have more players. There's just so much involved in what this sponsored hunts and stuff could entail and could bring to us. So, how excited am I about sponsored hunt rewards? Well, DeFi Kingdoms, let's just say you got the max on that one. That's how bullish I am on that. Now, don't plan on a whole lot of them getting a 5% boost for stuff they release. It's just, I don't know how to explain how excited I am about sponsored content outside of just giving them the max bullish on that. So, I got to say, DeFi Kingdoms, when that comes out, that'll be a huge, huge win for DeFi Kingdoms. So that's the only thing I got out of the AMA that I felt I could give it a positive or negative sentiment. So let's go into boar hunts. I've been wanting to review boar hunts since it first came out. but I wanted to hold off on a lot of it because I really wanted to see how it played out. So let's get into topic number 2. So topic number 2 about the boar hunts. So let's go back to when they first released it. What was the sentiment about how difficult it was? Well, I really need to learn how to spell. So it was pretty darn difficult. Now, when it first came out, I thought, yes, this is hard, but I really think once we learn the mechanics and everything, it'll become a lot easier. And once we start getting the equipment drops and start building our heroes to perform better and all that stuff, that it was going to become fairly simple. Now, I don't know if I want to say it's become simple because I just suck at that type of gameplay, but that's just me. But if you look at some of these other players out there, there's a lot of videos out there showing people doing boar hunts. They're doing really good. So the difficulty level, I think they nailed it. I think it's right there where it needs to be. So I think I can't wait to see what comes out as far as difficulty goes, because I might not be that good of a player, but at the same time, I don't want it to be simple for the boar hunts. And I'll cover a little bit more about that when we get to topic number 4. But that's it for topic number 2. Let's get into topic number 3. Oh, I guess I better rate it first. So I gave it a +2 on that difficulty because I think they really nailed it. So with that said, let's get into topic number 3 now. Okay, so topic number 3 about my boar hunts review. Let's talk about the rewards. Again, we can go back to the beginning to where the rewards were a little different than they are now. Honestly, I was okay with it because of the whole equipment thing. So the way I like to look at it, we'll go back to the whole World of Warcraft days. We would go and we'd spend all kinds of time farming all the mats that we needed to do these big raids. We'd go into these big raids. We'd get a little bit of stuff throughout the raid. Generally, it really wouldn't cover the cost of doing the raid. I would say just the raid itself was a net loss. But the whole reason we were there was, for one, just it was fun. You could beat everybody. But the chance at that epic piece of armor or equipment, weapons, whatever it might be, at the end when you open the loot chest. And then you get a chance to roll on that loot, and hopefully you're the winner. Granted, I'd say 90% of the time I was not the winner. But I still had fun with the battles. So the cost of all those mats and everything was worth it to me. And then you got the adrenaline rush of, ooh, am I going to get it? Am I going to get it? The piece of armor that you went through that entire raid to get might not even drop. And then if it does drop, are you the one that's going to get issued it? So, at first, it's hard. It takes forever to beat it. You're all geared down. So, at first, it's just costing you every time you get in there until you finally get to the point to where that raid now becomes on farm mode. And I kind of see the same thing playing out with boar hunts. You just keep doing it, and you get that armor drop. You can either sell it, equip it, do whatever you want with it. Granted, it's a low drop rate, but I think the drop rate for that armor or equipment or whatever you want to call it is pretty spot on. Now, the cost of crystal and all that, crystal and gold to join it, could it be higher? Could it be lower? I'm going to say that's going to be the next topic. But I'm going to say, as far as reward drops, I think they're pretty good. So I'm not really going to give it a whole lot, because I think that they're pretty much just right there where they should be. Nothing exciting, nothing makes me bearish on it. So that one, as far as the rewards go, they tweaked it and adjusted it to where it should be. I don't think they deserve any bullish or bearish on that one, so I'm going to leave that one at 0. So with that said, we're going to go into the cost, and that'll be topic number 4. So topic number 4, it's boar hunts review again. So the cost, and then I also want to cover the whole hero leveling in this, because they kind of go hand in hand. So the cost. Okay, so it's not a whole lot based on the cost of crystal as it is right now. I think as far as, the crystal and the gold entry fee, for me, I really don't care. It is what it is. I'm not going to be hurting for that little bit of crystal. And the same thing with the gold. I mean, I farm so much gold that, hell, I don't even know what to do with it half the time. But I am saving it, because I think someday it'll be worth something. But anyways, with that said, as far as crystal and gold goes, it is what it is. I'm not going to be bearish or bullish on it. It's just what it is. Now, the hero levels. Now, when this first came out, the whole recommended level 10 and above really kind of pissed me off. I'm going to say I'm still not really happy with it, and this is one of the good reasons why I didn't do a review right off the bat, is because I needed to get more information on why they chose 10 and above. So I don't know as the mechanics go. I don't know if they could have had it to where it scaled all the way down to level 1. I'm going to assume that would have been too difficult, and they wouldn't have got the results from what they were looking for. Because I was watching one of the videos, I think Workhorse was on there. They said one of the main reasons behind boar hunts was to test the mechanics in boss fights. So that made it make a lot more sense to me why level 10 and above was kind of important. Now, the problem I have with the whole level 10 and above is that really limits the amount of people that can participate. Now, before you guys go off telling me, oh, come on, you can get 3 level 10 perfect match, great heroes and all that for 10, 20 bucks. I don't know how much they really cost anymore, but I know for you and me, the cost for, let's just say for me and a lot of the people we see streaming out there, the cost to buy 3 level 10s and above heroes that can play the game is not that much. So I have a lot of friends over in the Philippines, and we'll just use them as an example. They don't have heroes that were level 10 and above. They have a lot of heroes that I gave them that were level 1 floor heroes, and this was only about 4 or 5 months ago, so they didn't have a chance to get them to level 10. Plus, they weren't the right classes. So the only way they could play was to go buy these heroes. Well, let's just say you can find a good set that you could do boar hunts with for $10. Well, that $10 is, at least 1 week's worth of food for them. You're asking a lot of these people in these developing countries to spend their week's worth of food to go play this game. That makes it really hard. So the conversations I've had with them is, just hold out, give them some time. They'll eventually come up with some kind of battles that are level 1. So the cost of heroes is what I really struggle with, and I still struggle with. We're limiting our player base to only people that can afford those heroes to play. So that gave me some real bearish sentiment. Luckily, the information about, why they came up with these type boar hunts first took a lot of that bearish sentiment out with the whole level 10 and above. And is where it kind of really frustrates me is our next hunts are going to be recommended level 12 and above. So we're just increasing that cost for new players to come in. That's where I kind of struggle with. Okay, so we got these ones out for level 10 and above. We did some research. We figured out the boss battle mechanics and all that stuff. And we still have a lot more coming as far as getting those boss battle mechanics and all that stuff squared away. I understand that. I get that. So that's why the next one is probably the same situation. But could we have kind of taken a little step back and just release some basic battles next? Because what I'm getting the feeling on is we're just going to increase to get harder and harder until we get to that point to where it's level 20 recommended. And we never won't go back and start to do the stuff that other people can play as well. So, as in topic number 3, I think it was 3, no, topic number 2, where I discussed the difficulty and how I love it and how I like where it's at, a lot of that sentiment towards the positive got taken away because I don't see in the roadmap for the simpler battles for new players. And after all, we are trying to get new players into the game. So I think we're limiting the new players by excluding the developing countries and being able to play this game. Now, I know a lot of you are saying, well, if they really want to play it, they'll figure it all out and stuff like that. Yeah, that could be a possibility, but I don't live in their circumstances. I don't deal with a lot of that. I'm very fortunate. So all I can hear is the people that I know within the Web3 space that cannot afford to play. So the only options I have for them to play is if I give them the heroes to play with, and then they can do it. So I'm going to actually give them a -1 on this solely because of that whole hero situation. Hey, that didn't come out right. I said -1. There we go. There's my red. Why did that make that as... I can't read that. Oh, I can't see it. Anyways, I'm going to have to trust this average thing works out right, but I don't think it is. Anyways, let's get it figured out, and then I will move on to topic number 5. And this kind of goes a little bit back to what I discussed at the beginning of the video about nothing going on this week. So let's get into topic number 5. All right, so topic number 5. And I did fix this for y'all, so it's actually reporting correctly. So, topic number 5. So, it's been a very boring week this week, nothing going on at all, except the Mythic Squad's tournament for boar hunts. Now, I know this is not DeFi Kingdoms, but with this tournament, and as big as they made it, And the fact that they even talked about it in the AMA, the sentiment that we would get out of these tournaments would go towards DeFi Kingdoms. So let's talk about these tournaments. So, how do I word this? Did this tournament bring buzz to the DeFi Kingdoms community? Yes, it brought a lot of buzz to the DeFi Kingdoms community. Did this give a lot of the other content creators out there stuff to talk about? Yes, it did. It brought a lot of new topics. So we're not just dark summoning and doing boar hunts. We are now talking about a tournament. That's exciting. That brings a lot of excitement to the space. Now, how did they do during these tournaments? How did the Mythic Squad handle this? Was it done well to where we're looking forward to the next one? Did they screw up and cause us to say, oh shit, there goes tournaments, we're not doing that no more? Surprisingly, in my opinion, and with Zan's Meta Army, we did a lot of tournaments in there, and it is very, very difficult not to have a lot of problems. So did the Mythic Squad have hiccups? Yeah, they had some. Very, very, very minor. Did any of these hiccups cause problem with the gameplay, the rating, the scoring, or any of that? Absolutely not. I don't think it affected that at all. So, how excited did the Mythic Squad's tournament make me? Did it give me a really strong bullish sentiment, or did it give me a bearish sentiment? Well, I'm going to say all the excitement alone around it gave me about a 2% bullish sentiment. Now, let's back up. There's more to just the excitement around it. Did it add to DeFi Kingdoms as a whole having a tournament? If this was a one and done, I would say, whatever. But they are already looking at a second tournament. They've learned a lot of stuff with this first tournament, which everybody does when they first do something. So the anticipation for the next one gives another really strong bullish sentiment. Does it increase my 2% to a 3%, 4%, or 5%? I think it's definitely going to increase it to a 3%. So now, this was a very bullish week apparently, because there was so much excitement going on. The whole sponsored thing, just in my mind, just can't stop thinking about that, how excited I am about that. The Mythic Squad Tournament, that was extremely exciting. Almost the entire day, Saturday, was nothing but buzz on this tournament. There was nothing but content. That was really exciting. So that brings us up for an average of this week to a 2%. So let's see where that put us as a whole. That really moved us up. So the average of the averages of all the bullish content that I've created, that brought us up to a full 5%. So where does that put our meter? That puts us at a 55%. That's a big increase for how I want this meter to go. So, although there wasn't a whole lot talked about within the AMA, there was a lot that happened during this week that really brought the meter up. So, with that said, thanks for watching. Please don't forget to give a like and a subscribe. And don't forget, keep moving forward.